At Movement First, I place your movement first. So this is a different type of personal training altogether, and I want to explain why it's beyond anything you might have come across before. Is it because I say so? Because I trained some VIPs and some other trainers? Maybe I'm just better at counting your sets and reps and motivating you. I mean, isn't personal training just about giving you a highly personalized, generic program that will be just right for you, and then make you follow it by telling you that you're doing a great job or you're doing a very poor job? Bad client. You know, whatever motivates you, eh? If you've been involved in any type of fitness, you would know that you're being evaluated by how much you can do rather than how well you do it. How many push-ups, pull-ups, weighted exercise can you do? How long can you run for? And at what speed? Can you bench press? Can you bench even more? It's always capacity and volume of training. The traditional perspective is that you can do anything. And when we encounter problems like pain or weakness, we just change the exercise, reduce the amount of sets, reps or weight that you do. Basically anything to stop you from complaining. Sometimes you might even look at what you do and you question yourself, "Excuse me, Mr. PT sir, am I going in the right direction?" But of course you usually get an answer like, "Oh yeah, you're definitely in the right direction. You're fine, just keep going, you just need motivation."
Oh shit!
Hey, why'd you stop? Did you hit a brick wall? Okay, I know this is a bit exaggerated, but it's true. This is the face of the fitness industry. Now, I want to take a step back and put some smarts back into it. Any exercise or movements that you do requires you to move into positions. Those positions requires you to have both range of motions on your joints and sufficient control within that range. Let's say that your shoulder flexion ends here. Going further up from this point means your spine moves into extension. This range of motion follows you like a shadow. Whether you're changing a light bulb, whether you are doing handstands or hanging, or whether you are lifting heavy weights over your head. If that's the best you can do when you try really hard, then you can bet your pretty face that anytime you find yourself in a higher position, your one and only option is to compensate. You just have no other option. That's why I say I'm in the business of giving you options, because while learning how to compensate well with what you have is important, if your only option is to compensate all the time over and over, then you're in trouble. And half the time we don't even know it, because limited range of motion doesn't always manifest as pain. But sure enough, it always hits you at some point. I mean, for example, how can you produce force to drive your leg up, say when you run, if your feet can't stabilize and lock into position? How can you squat and move your hip into that much flexion if you can't control it? Is there a compensation happening that you're not even aware of? What sort of sorcery allows you to do a push-up or a handstand with your wrist in that much extension when you can't actually control your wrist in that range of motion? Is it possible that you're taxing something that you're not aware of? Basically, how can you move well and control yourself if you don't even know how much movement you've got? And that's the basic of good mobility training. And just to be clear, mobility training is not about stretching. This is flexibility. Identifying limitations in movement, in range of motion, in motor control, and come up with strategies both in the short term and in the long term to affect real change. This is why when you come in, the first thing is not to shout 3 more, give you sets, give you reps, give you programs. It's to start with an assessment. The first 2 sessions are used to assess and profile your movement. We also use the time to teach you some strategies you can use right now and set a strategic path forward, and teach you good foundations, because without good foundation, you're basically chasing tension and doing guesswork. After you do the assessment, there is no limitations to what you can achieve. From transforming your body and losing a lot of fat in just 5 to 6 weeks, which we do with a lot of clients, to calisthenics and clever muscle building, and further building your motor control, your skill, your mobility, your spine, etc. A wise man once said, train your body for how you want it to work, not just how you want it to look on Instagram. And we sort of do both. I want you to move well, I want you to look hot. And that's how we do personal training.